So I am joined by the one and only Hectic. Hello, how's it going?
Hello. Good, thanks. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Feeling very hot in London at the moment. Are you in
It's
London as well?
very hot. Yes. Yeah, Southeast London.
Southeast London. I'm in
Yeah.
Southwest London, so we're
Oh, right. Yeah,
ways
Bexley
across the way.
Heath, though.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Other
yeah, nice.
side of the, yeah. Yeah,
I'm
it's
in.
still very hot down here.
Yeah, it's not very hot. Are you from London originally?
I'm from Hertfordshire, so just north of London. So
Okay, yeah.
Hitchin, Hertfordshire is where I grew up. And
And
then I moved down to Gravesend with my girlfriend, now wife,
hmm
and now we live in Southeast London. So
cool. Oh,
yeah, we've
lovely.
been here about 8 years.
Oh,
So
great.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
So here to stay, you think?
Probably, yeah. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's a three-bedroom house, so yeah, we've got plenty of room and stuff. So I've got my own studio here. You can't really see most of it because it's all sort of like here.
Yeah,
But
well, I can see lots of records.
yeah, lots of records here. Yeah, and
Yeah,
CDs. Yeah,
yeah,
there's
and
a lot
CDs in the
more
back.
records on this side as well that you can't see.
Okay, yeah. So
So
if you're listening to this in the podcast or the radio show on Glitterbeam, you have to check out the YouTube for for this collection.
yes.
And is this
Oh
just
yeah.
a small percentage of the collection? Is there more?
Um, that's most of it there. So there's about 4 rows sort of records there, and then there's like basically the same on the other side. So
Okay,
there's a lot there. Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, I'm quite a big collector. I used to DJ a lot with vinyls when I
Okay,
started DJing. So you used to have before digital DJing.
yeah,
So you used to have to carry records about, and lots of boxes of records. So that's why I got so many. But
yeah.
nowadays I basically just collect ones that I want. I don't buy it. I used to buy them to play out, buy all the singles and all the 12 inches. And
Mm,
now I just sort of collect them, sort of one-offs and things like that. So just to add to the collection.
nice. And is that how
Yeah.
you got into music then? Was that it was DJing your first
Yeah.
thing?
Yeah. I started DJing when I was about 16, 17, I think, when I was still in school. So I did like school discos and pubs and nightclubs in Hitchin. And then when I went to university, I went to university in Derby, and that's when I really got into it. I was doing a lot of student nights and clubs and bars and things like that. Yeah, mainly DJ. And then I was still, I was sort of, and then I've sort of got more into that I've sort of stopped DJing. I still do it now and again, but I stopped mainly doing then got into sort of making music really. So
Yeah, and so that's what brings you to the hectic that we know now. Is that um you
yeah,
seem to be like so I've I guess met you as the same with many other people virtually over this last year, but in
yeah,
particular, I guess as a producer and remixer for me is how I kind of know you. Obviously, I've remixed one of my tracks, which we're going to play very
yeah,
excitingly. We're going to play one of your new tracks as well. So two premieres in the show, very exciting.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, I mean, you seem to be so busy in terms of kind of this, particularly in the kind of queer independent music community that we're part of. Like that seems to be something every week, a new remix or a new production. Like
yeah,
how's it been for you? And
yeah.
has that been always the case, or has that been more just happening in this last year?
No, I think I've probably been releasing music pretty much consistently for about 8 or 9 years, I'd
Okay.
say. I had my first release in 2011.
hmm
And then I got onto a Ministry of Sound compilation. That was the first thing I actually did.
That's
And
that's a
then that
good first gig.
it was actually, yeah, I sort of set the bar quite high there.
Yeah.
So and then yeah, I was with a couple of different labels around that time. One in Holland that was part of Black Hole Recordings. It was run by Tiesto.
Oh yeah.
It was like an offshoot label. So I was with them for a few years. So I've been steadily doing a lot. But actually since sort of the coronavirus lockdown, when we've all been at home a lot, that's when I've really started to do a lot more with like other people.
Yeah.
I think, like remixes for other people and
Mm.
collaborations
And
and stuff like that, really.
do you quite like that process? And I guess it's quite different in terms of like doing remixing and collaboration from doing your own stuff. Like how do you find it in comparison?
Yeah, yeah, to be honest, in the sort of the last year, I've done very little music that is like my own stuff. I've basically just done remixes and stuff for other people I reckon in the last year. So apart from the a few tracks that I've got coming out in this Friday, they're like one of the only ones I've done that is just I've just sat here and made it from scratch, just with
Yeah.
no sort of intention of doing anything. But yeah, I like the having sort of a list of things to do, having a sort of a few projects to work on one after the other. It's quite good because it's like having a sort of a task list, and
Mm.
it's quite because you have deadlines and stuff to do. So it's
Keeping
quite good to work to those
mm.
sort of time
Keeping you
scales as
busy.
well. So yeah,
And is that
definitely.
are you full time music making?
Pretty much at the moment, yeah, I am. Yeah, I do sort of video production as well, sort of making videos and corporate sort of stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, mainly at the moment it's just full time making music, which is quite good. So it's
Nice.
the
Yeah,
dream,
that's great.
really.
I
So
mean, well, I
yeah,
was just going to say those exact words. That's the dream.
yeah,
I feel like that's, everyone's trying to head there somehow, trying to,
yeah.
make the money from it, make it, feed itself enough to to keep it going, I
Well,
guess.
yeah. I mean, yeah, I've been doing it sort of quite a lot. It feels like I've been doing it my whole life, really. I couldn't really imagine not doing music stuff, whether
Yeah.
it's DJing or
Yeah.
making it. So yeah, it's just like breathing, really.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, it's just like waking up and yeah.
So do you miss doing any of the kind of more live stuff like in clubs or DJing, or I know you've done some live stream kind of stuff as well, but
Yeah, yeah, I would like to get back into that. In the last sort of 4 or 5 years, even before um, coronavirus, and I wasn't doing a huge amount of DJing or live stuff. I've done the odd thing here and there. I was trying to just keep that quite special, just sort of do the odd one-off thing
mm,
here and there. So I would like to do probably more of that in the future because I've actually sort of done stuff on my YouTube channel where I've actually sort of basically just perform tracks live using the kit I've got around me here.
yeah.
So yeah, being able to think of a way to do that in a live environment would
Mm,
be quite good, I think.
yeah, definitely.
So yeah,
Yeah, nice. So tell us. So you're chatting there a little bit about your this EP that's coming out on Friday, 18th of June.
mm,
So yeah, tell us a little bit about that, and we're going to hear the first track, I believe, is that right? Called
yeah,
Loving You.
yeah.
Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, it's sort of what the main track. I think the one you're going to play is. I think I made that sort of just randomly one day about year, maybe 18 months ago, and it's just sort of sat on my hard drive for a while. And then I did a remix for an artist called Melly Fresh that runs Play Records. She's I think from Canada,
Mm,
and I did the remix for her a sort of tail end of last year, 2020. And then she then emailed me saying, have you got any more tracks? So we want to release like an EP. So I sent her that one, and she loved that. And then she said, right, I want sort of 3 more tracks to go with it. So I had to basically just like write 3 tracks that sounded similar. So yeah, so I basically dedicated about a week to just making those 3 tracks to go with it. And then I updated the other track to make it sort of all sound quite uniform. So yeah, it came together overall. It came together pretty quick. So
nice.
yeah, so it's the first one I've done, EP I've done for probably sort of 3 or 4 years. I think
Mm,
where it's like more than one track. In the sort of last year, I've just released like singles and
yeah.
remixes, and I did do like a concept album last year called Buttons that was
Okay.
made purely on the on the OPZ, which is this this little thing here.
Oh yeah.
So the whole album was just made purely on that.
Oh
So
cool.
that was 11 tracks that's on my Spotify and everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, but this is the first like EP where I've done more of a proper production sort of thing into it.
Nice. And what's your kind of start point then for any of the newer stuff that you do, or the stuff that you create yourself? Like, is it on an instrument, like on keys, or is it just finding sort of sounds and looping something, or
Yeah,
playing with buttons? I love all the
yeah,
tech.
I mean,
My tech knowledge is not as good as I would like it to be. So,
oh no. Well, I normally start with the drums first. So I'll normally make up like a drum beat or something. So
Mhm.
whether that's normally, use Machine a lot for that, Native Instruments Machine, or I'll use like one of the Roland instruments, like the TR9 09. So I use that, and then but then sometimes I might just start on Ableton because I use
Mhm.
that. That's my main sort of sequencer and everything. So yeah, it's a mixture really. I just sort of just start quite randomly. It's just sort of like, if I've got a day to do something, I'll just sit down, I'll switch a few things on, and I'll just start plugging away really.
Yeah.
And there's normally no real direction in or thought put into it. It's just sort of just comes together
I guess
randomly.
that's the years of doing it as well that kind of makes it feel like
Yeah,
that.
I kind of sort of have a formula now where I know how to put things together quite fast. I know
Mm,
how to how to arrange drums, how to make bass, and all
yeah.
that sort of stuff. And I've got a lot of gear to allow me to do that, and a lot
Yeah.
of software to do that as well. For remixes, it tends to be a little bit different, where I'll go through and I'll like get the stems.
Hmm.
Sometimes it could be like for your track, that was like the full all
I
the
gave you
stems.
I gave you lots of stems.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's good. I like having a lot to deal with. But other
Yeah. So how
times
do
it can be
you?
just
Yeah. Sorry. Carry on.
sorry. Yeah, other times it could be just a vocal, just the a cappella,
Hmm.
which could be as a bit more challenging because you don't really have
Yeah.
any instruments to work with. So you just sort of find the BPM of the original track, and then sort of just I normally just lay down like a real basic drum beat and then make sure everything is synced up, so everything is hitting on the grid, all the vocals are in time, and then
Yep.
from there I'll then look for ways to add sort of my own sort of stuff to it really.
Mm.
But when it's like stems, when there's actual stems, then I'll go through and I normally use all the normally use the vocals, probably a lot of the bass as well, and some of the like the synth sounds, and then I'll normally take all the notes from that. So I'll use Ableton's MIDI. So you can convert audio to MIDI, and then so that converts the melody into a usable MIDI track, and
Okay.
then I can then apply my own sound to that, and then I normally make up like the melody from that basically for the main thing. So
Yeah. Okay.
yeah,
That's cool. That's really interesting to kind of see how you can pick apart that, because like in the remix of mine that you've of Sunrise, which we're going to hear as well. There's sort of new sections that feels that you've kind of created and that you've sort of put in your own melody.
yeah,
But
yeah.
it's interesting to see how that sort of probably came from something that was already in there already. But uh,
Yeah, I think that the main melody from the new melody that I put in was the main lead sound from your track, and then I did that the Ableton
yeah,
MIDI, sorry, audio to MIDI, and then basically I sort of just rearranged it slightly, and then added my own, put that into a different synth,
mm,
and then it came from there really. So I tend to like to do that because it's like you're listening to the melody that you recognize if you know the original track, but it's like done in a different way.
yeah.
So
Well,
yeah,
I
you
mean
hear a
that's
lot of remixes where people just basically just added drums to it, and it's just
right.
like the same track but with different drums, and it could work to a certain extent, but you know, you like to hear something a bit more different, really.
Yeah, well, I mean
So
that's the power of the remix, isn't it? That you can kind of
yeah.
chop and change it and make it something different. Do
Mm.
you? So I mean, I when I got in touch, I was just like, do what you want to do do your own thing.
Yeah.
Does that happen quite a lot, or do people get quite specific with you, and what do you prefer in that kind of creative process?
Yeah, most of the time it's the same as your approach was, just do what you want, and yeah, you got full reign, do what
Yeah,
you want. But other times there will be like more specific, like they want it to sound like that, or they'll give me a few reference tracks
right.
for things they want it to sound like.
Mm.
Or so well, I recently did one for someone else where they were really quite specific about what they wanted, and I think ended up doing about 10 or 11 versions of it just to get it right. There was really, and it really got down to like the nitty gritty of
Yeah,
different sounds that they wanted. So which is fine because it's obviously they're putting it out,
yeah,
they're under their name, so they want it to sound as good as it
yeah,
possibly
yeah.
can,
That's it.
really. So
Yeah, I think
yeah.
it's interesting. I think everybody just has different approaches with it, and I think for me, if I was being really picky, it'd be more like lyrics are my thing. I think everything else you
Yeah.
can like. I was so happy for you to just kind of chop and change it and do about. But I think if someone was like, "Oh, I think we should change some lyrics," I'd be like, "Oh, wait a minute."
Yeah,
That's where
yeah,
I'm like, okay, everything else I can kind of get, but like that's where I'm
yeah.
like, that's my
Well,
my specific bit.
that's such a personal thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Lyrics, they're way more personal than the music side. So
Yeah, I guess, but
yeah,
yeah, I mean, you can be so personal in sound as well, and I guess some of your stuff it doesn't have vocals as well; it is more instrumental as well. So,
yeah.
do you still have a kind of like story in your head with music like that, or like thoughts and feelings, or is it just sound?
I think I'm always thinking about playing it out to live. I think, or in a
Right.
club, or hearing it in a club. Because that's sort of through DJing. I think that's always how you hear music. You
Uh-huh.
wanna have something that is gonna, is gonna like either make people dance or make people go, oh, what's that? Oh, that sounds a bit
Yeah.
different. So I think that's always my motivation. But pretty much anything I do is always that you want to have that sort of, impact, and sort of have that moment where you're sort of not really expecting something to happen, and then it just sort
Mm.
of comes along. So yeah, I don't really think of it in terms of like a songwriter type thing. I know people who write music, they come at it, they're trying to tell a story about a
Mm.
particular emotion or something like that. Whereas I sort of, it's more sort of the impact that it has, the
Yeah.
sounds, the powerful sort of sound that you can convey or something like that.
Mm.
Really, that's the way I
Yeah,
normally think of
it's
it.
more like you're maybe songwriting, you're kind of turning an emotion into the song, but you're more like trying to get an emotion out of the music.
Yes,
That's
yeah,
dancing or euphoria or whatever it might be. Um,
exactly, yeah,
I mean, that's why we miss clubbing and dancing. I really,
yeah.
I really miss it at the moment.
Well, yeah. There's nothing.
Yeah,
It's not much something better than, you go to a live concert or something and you hear like a song that everyone knows, and like everyone just goes
yeah,
mad for it, and and it's combined with like the visuals and the lights and everything like that. It's just, yeah, there's not really much
yeah.
better, nothing better really. So
Can't beat it. Absolutely.
yeah.
So, have you had any tips for anyone who's maybe looking to get more into the kind of production side of things or remixing or any of that side of stuff? What would they be?
I'd say just basically watch a lot of YouTube videos. There's so much out there now. I mean, guidance on how to compress drums, and how to basically do the basics of production. I mean, I did sort of more of a formal education on sound engineering and things like that. So I sort of learnt it from like a bit more of a regimented way, whereas
Right.
now there's so much more stuff out there. So I think, yeah, get inspiration from artists that you like, watch them in the studio. There's lots of a lot of artists nowadays have their own YouTube channel or productions and things like that they do. So yeah, I'd say basically just do that, and get some, I wouldn't say I wouldn't say buy hardware to start with. I'd say get a decent computer with some software on it,
Right.
that you you can get your head around and learn how to make music that way, really. Because I've got a lot of hardware here, but it's only because it's partly because I like to have it more than I actually use it for music. But I do use a lot of it in actually productions. But part of the reason I've got it is mainly because I'm a sort of also collector of stuff as well.
Right.
So go down the software route to start with, and then venture out into more hardware, I think.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure some good tips, I'm sure, for for everybody looking into that. Which I think more and more people are doing it. The tools are there to.
The tools are there. I mean, you don't really need to spend much money these days. You can get, Computer Music Magazine, which is a pretty decent magazine. You can get a fully blown studio just with buying one issue of that. So you've got everything you need.
Yeah.
And they give away quite a lot of good pro level software. So fill your boots.
Great. So what's next for you, Hectic? So you've got your EP coming out. Anything else on the horizon, or?
There's a couple more remixes. Yours, obviously. There's another one. There's another one in July. Started work on 2 other ones this coming week. I've got a single out that it'll come out about middle of July. It'll just collaboration with a singer. And that's just one track rather than an EP. That's for the next sort of few months or so, and then there's another remix out in August, I think. So there's plenty of stuff
few things
sort of in the pipeline. I'm always working on stuff. I'll probably make 3 or 4 tracks a week, I'd say. So there's always plenty. That's why I release so much stuff. There's always things coming out. So
I love it. I think it's something to aim for. Definitely, just getting the stuff out there. I think it's
It is, It's best to do it, really.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming to chat to me. Thank you for sharing your new music and doing my
no worries.
Look forward to getting them out in the world now and seeing. Then it's into the hands of everybody else. We can just see what they think.
Sit back and see what happens.
Exactly. Cool. Well, take care, and we look forward to hearing all these other releases over this year.
Thanks very much.
All right.
You
thanks.
too.
Bye.
You could see, I could turn it around a little bit. You could see sort of most of the stuff there. So I've got a big rack of things. So
nice.
That's where I tend to. That's about sort of half of it, and it goes down even more. And then there's stuff sort of over there. So, but I'll probably do. I'm trying to do a few more YouTube videos soon. Actually, I haven't put anything on YouTube for ages, so I need to do that.
Get some things up.
So,